Hi, everybody, and welcome to our next episode of Worldwide Workshop, where we're interviewing people who are connected to early childhood. My name is Matthew, and with me, as always, is Justin. And today we have a special guest with us. Her name is Jackie.
Jackie.
All right, so we're going to start off with...
Who are you?
My name is Jackie Lee. Actually, I'm Jackie Young Lee. There's my Korean name in the middle. And I am working with pre-primary friends. Can I say friends?
Sure. Why not? Awesome. What's the next question?
How are you connected to childcare?
I thought I put it into that.
Oh, you did, because
Yes.
you're pre-primary, right?
Yes.
It's good.
He's not listening.
I'm not listening. I'm just here.
So before pre-primary, though, where did you work? Or with what age group or blah, blah, blah?
Oh yes. So before that, I actually came to Canada 10 years ago, and before that, I was working with children for about almost like 10 years in Korea, in a private school. So that was mostly theme based, and I was dealing with a lot of very nervous parents and very competitive society.
Yeah.
So, and I came here and I went to school in SEECE and graduated in 2013, and I got a job at the child care center called Filipino Children's Center, and I worked, I spent like the most amazing 5 years there, and then,
Some great people.
that's right, and then I moved to pre-primary 2018, and here I am.
Awesome. What's the next question? What is your favorite thing to do in a childcare center?
So right now, my shift starts from 8:20, and my students, come from 9. So I have that morning time, like a quiet time that I can come in and I can set up and I can reflect about the previous days, and I usually come in around like 8 o'clock actually. So, and I love that time. So that's probably the most probably enjoyable time.
So your favorite time in childcare is the time without children, which is great.
I found that too.
Ah.
I found that
I
too.
don't find that. I'm a much better teacher. Apparently.
I know. It's not about you today.
That's right.
All right. What's the next question? What inspires you, or where do you look for inspiration?
I think I've been inspired by great educators and great coworkers and good people in general. So I've always looked into those connections. So I first started to joining that
Emergent curriculum.
Emerging curriculum group, study group. So that was the first, probably the people and the group that I was kind of participating, and I really enjoyed my time there, and I learned a lot professionally and I think also personally. So I was, and then I've been still, we are in this nice people around me still. And I like to gather and I like to get new ideas and I like to get probably reflections a lot from other people. So that's who I am, and still I've been doing so once a month. We still not with Justin and Matthew only, but with other educators from PI and all these other great educators. We get to meet and talk about books, and that's I always like to feel kind of have those kind of connections. Yeah, and it's going to continue, I hope.
Yeah, I remember the emergent curriculum groups. They're really great because it is a forum where you can get together and discuss, but there's no like performance involved. You don't feel like you're responsible for the presentation. You just come with ideas, you come with your pictures, you discuss with your peers, you have a glass of wine and a couple of snacks, and you feel like you've had a break or a night out, but really you've been deepening your thinking. So it was really great. It started years ago with Carol Ann Ween at Jubilee Road was the first one that I went to, and we had a number of educators there. And then after a couple of years, it slowed down a bit, and then we started doing it again with the people who we were still connected with, and inviting other educators as well, people who we knew were interested in it. But it was a really great space for educators to get experience speaking about the profession without it being performative.
It was a very safe place. That's how I felt, and everybody was pretty open, and they could pretty much share everything. about like challenges and all those like negative things too. So I feel like, oh, I'm not the only one having those issues in class. So we were pretty much open about it. And also, we get to see some cool projects, right, going on in each classroom. And it's all about like, back then I think every center was a little bit kind of protective. So we had that culture here too, right? So nobody really wanted to like share about what's going on, and they want to put every dirty things under the blanket, I guess. But then if you go there, you meet these people from all these different centers. So we get to visit their classroom and their like center's culture. We can see in person, right? And that was really beautiful to me too. And it was exciting because I am not from local, obviously, so I was like curious about this culture and this ECE world, and everything was very, I think, opening my eyes. But then especially with that like really healthy and professional group kind of helped me a lot to be more like, I think, growing more.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that idea of going to other centers. I'm sorry to stick on this question for so long, but that idea of going to other centers, especially somebody who was coming into Halifax and learning about the curriculum as kind of like your first introduction to curriculum in Canada even, or Nova Scotia, to go to different centers and see, oh, we're not all doing the same thing. We have similar values, some of us, most of us, that we're going to. And then we find connections, but we have a lot of differences as well. Obviously, our children aren't learning about the same thing at the same time, because we were all practicing emergent curriculum at the time. So, it was different, but it was like this pizza, with different toppings everywhere, sort of thing. I like food, so I like to compare it to food. Anyway, sorry. What was the next question, Justin?
Our producer is asking the same question. Jackie, what is a rule that you like to break?
I have to say like every rule.
Same.
Because what I mean is I don't want to break every rule just because, right? But then I want to be very critical when it comes to rules, right? When it comes to your own setting and program and your curriculum, right? You want to see if it's right and where is the reason, right? You want to go that. So that's what I mean. Like I want to be critical about like if I want to say yes for this certain rules, then I want to have like a clear proof or like a background behind it, and I have to be convinced. So that's what I mean.
Yeah.
You are the judge. I am
know.
convincing you that this rule needs to be broken today.
Right.
Yeah. For me, the bubblegum rule is the one that the kids always came up to try to argue and debate, and they'd be like, we would like to do gum in the class. And I'm like, oh, okay. What are we going to do about that? And then they decided that they're not going to put gum under the tables or on the floor. And we're like, great. And then when somebody discovered gum under the table, they'd be like, gum's got to be done. Somebody found it under the table. Thanks for ruining it, Jackie. That sort of thing. So they became really responsible for that because we had like a democratic system where we discussed everything. Even if it was a rule, it wasn't not up for debate. So yeah, I see what you're saying there. So the next question is, what is something you want to do that you haven't done yet?
So for the past, I think, how many years was that? Almost like 9 years in this field in Nova Scotia, Halifax. I've done like probably pretty much everything, I feel like, but there's one thing I've always wanted to, and still, because I haven't. So this is actual like space that children can work with the real tools and real wood.
Oh.
That's the space that I want to create. That's why I'm kind of always like poking my good people to open a school. If anybody's hearing us, we need a sponsor, that's all. But anyways, yeah, so
That's a plug.
that's just a place that because I can see that always that interest comes like from the group of children, certain groups, and then it gets really excited, right? Like every real thing excites. Like who doesn't, right? I mean, I get excited about the real like tools and real things. So it's the same with children. So that's my dream.
So why aren't you using tools in your classroom today? It's a rule that you could break, isn't it?
I think I've been introducing like a little bits of it. So maybe my expectation is maybe my own expectation. My standard is is maybe different than my children. So that's why I think I haven't done in my program. That's how I feel. Maybe.
So what tools have you used?
So we have a real saw and we have real
Wow.
hammers. And
So you're using the most dangerous tools first.
yeah, I know. But I think maybe I kind of wanted to try to use like a real machine tools.
Like a drill.
Yeah, like drills, and so that I can actually wanted to go into a certain like a practical thing from the just hammering and just the nailing, and from that stage I feel like I haven't really got into actual project of
I see
making
what you're
something
saying.
with the children. So that's why, and I'm not really that type of person. Maybe that's why like everybody has like every educator and every person has different piece, right, from inside. So I don't really have that piece in me. That's
Right.
maybe why it always fascinates me and kind of nervous about it. But then I maybe need a good team.
Yeah.
If there is one person in my program.
You need someone
so
to
that-
nudge you and challenge you in your
Yes,
class.
yes,
Yeah.
probably. That's the person I'm looking for too. Yes. I've never met so far.
So it seems like the way that you're using tools in your class is using tools as toys in a way that they are exploratory but
Right.
not being used as the tools.
Right.
Yeah. Interesting. So I think you need to buy a drill and bring it in
I
as
think
a toy.
so, yes. Since actually, the children, right now, my group,
Okay,
okay.
so Matthew one time went, or not one time, but he went to IKEA and bought these drills. And so he bought a shelf. So getting them to practice building like a shelf that they could actually use, like something like this, that has to require a drill. You can actually see how they use the material or the tool, and then you can get into like actually building their own with wood and stuff.
So
So maybe
have,
bring something in that you actually have to like
Follow instructions.
follow
and
instructions,
directions.
put together,
okay.
Like a puzzle.
like a puzzle. Yeah.
Right, because it's the same thought process as a puzzle. You bring in a puzzle that is a broken picture, they put it together, it's a whole picture. This is just a 3D puzzle.
Yeah.
Maybe it's a shoe shelf or something. It doesn't have to be anything spectacular.
Right, yes.
And then once they see that they can, oh my gosh, create real things, then they can start to be more open-minded and creative about what they can create beyond just creating with Play-Doh and,
Right.
you know what I mean?
I mean, I had a conversation, my conversation where it stopped was they wanted to build a house, but how? How is kind of missing. And they wanted to build something like a bird house, because now this group right now, they've been feeding some of their afternoon crackers, like because we were outside and we see some pigeons and all the birds, right?
Yeah.
And first they wanted to kind of get close to them, but it's kind of scaring the birds, right? So they're in that stage. And then now they're talking about like, stealing those crackers from the snack table and like giving to the pigeons, right? So I
Robin
said,
Hood.
so I said, actually those crackers are not really healthy food for the birds. So I got the real bird foods. So we have actual time to like sprinkle those things to the birds. And I have this sometimes like very wondering like eyes from the other educators around me. Are you bringing these dirty pigeons to our playground? So we have to go hide somewhere sometimes. But anyways, now there is an interest about the birds, right? So we are going through that. So maybe there's a possibility to
Now
build
is the
a
time.
bird feeder or.
Yeah, I don't think you can call yourself a good educator if other educators aren't giving you a questioning look like, what is that crazy person doing? That's how you know you're doing it. When people are like, what is going on over there?
Right.
Yeah.
I always get that.
So the next question is, what is something you want to improve on in your profession?
In my profession, I just started teaching like a little older students. So I started teaching at the college, taking one course and teaching it, and I'm loving it so far.
So not a little older, a lot older. They're adults. She's teaching adults,
Right. So,
adult students.
So I think overall, in my everything that I had, I've been overcome a lot of things from my history of my personal, but I still feel like my English is not really good enough. So I think that's the thing that, when you became like a bilingual person after you are over almost
After you're past
40
your puberty years where you're developing your
Right.
language skills, we don't have to go how far past, but
And then my husband is like a full-time Korean speaker, so
Yeah.
so Monday is kind of struggle to me.
Right.
So I think that's the one part. And professionally, I want to be more, I think, fluent and more like I think free myself, because sometimes it kind of breaks me. Like I have to stop and pause and think, and it doesn't really work sometimes. And I like to have that freedom when I speak in English, and also just like I'm speaking in Korean. So that's the field that I am trying to working on.
well, I would just like to say, as a fluent English speaker, I appreciate when people can pause to collect their thoughts, because I just talk and then I'm like, why am I saying what I'm saying? I should stop and think, but then I don't. You have this built-in excuse to stop and think and consider what you're saying. So, I mean, there's benefits to that as well. But,
Right.
from my perspective anyway, if I could just shut myself up sometime, I think some people would feel a little bit better.
Look at me, I'm not even talking through this whole interview, and you're like adding on to everything she says.
Well, that's what I do. So, there we are.
So Jackie, moving on to this next questions. How many more years do you think you'll stay in childcare?
Wow, I kind of that question I've been thinking. I think recently I've been thinking about that. So how far I could go, because this is the best job. I don't even think it's a job, to be honest. So it's just where my happy place, the classroom. I kind of want to live there. So that's where I am, and I want to create this school with my good people. That's my goal, like ultimate goal. And so I don't know. As long as my body stands, and yeah, if I'm okay, and if I'm not the dangerous person to be around with my body, then I want to be in this field. That's my goal, and
Do you know
that's
what
my
you could
dream.
do? You could get the children to build the school, and then we'll come.
There you go. That's the goal with the tools. Build the
Sure.
school. If you build it, we
If
will
you're not
come.
seeing it, make it happen, is what I'm
That's
saying.
right.
All right. So is this our last question?
No, we have this one and then one more.
Oh, second last question. If money, people, and resources were not an issue, what would you change in childcare for every classroom?
Well, number one was like having my own school, right? If the money is there, that's my goal.
So everybody would have their own school? Every classroom would have their own school?
No. I mean, that's
Just
could be good
for
too. Like
you.
if anybody is passionate about this field, they should be able to stay right in this field, because I know a lot of educators, a lot of VCs, they leave this field and they looking for like another second job, third job,
Yeah.
because they don't pay us enough, right?
Yeah.
And I don't know how many hours I'm working for free at home, right? Because all the portfolios and all the work, it's not really, I can't really finish in my working hours, right? But if I have a money to put every classroom, I want to have access for every classroom to directly to go outside. So that
Oh, yeah.
so they're like a French door kind of style.
Yeah.
If you just open it, you don't have to just do anything else. So that children can go out and go in any time of the day, so that the hustling, like rustle of like get ready to go outside. You have to pee now, or there's no washroom there, kind of thing. You don't have to think about that. So.
Yeah.
You have that outdoor and beautiful outdoor, I think, environment is available for every classroom to explore. That's my goal.
When we
That's
were
my wish.
when we were at Peter Green Hall, we were in a classroom that you had to go through the hall to get outside, and there was a wall right next to our garden, right next to our playground. And every time there was some kind of grant come up for a reconstruction, we're like, put in a door so that we could just be half in and half out, because we've only got 2 teachers, and there's not really a lot of flexibility unless you have that. And we had all these designs for it. It was such a great idea to have like an outdoor classroom that's really kind of a very organic part of the indoor classroom, where you don't have to like get everybody or enough people to get ready to go outside. You can just be outside, just outside the door there. And I remember it was such a disappointing frustration every time it didn't happen. And then it did happen for other classrooms that didn't really care or need it. But then we switched into that classroom with seniors, and then we got that door, and it was amazing. So yeah, I love that idea.
So our last question
Final
is,
question.
what's the best project you were a part of?
Yeah, the best project happened when it was my last year at Peter Green Hall, and the all of a sudden the children, I don't know why, but we were talking about some kind of a recipe, and so it's the whole process of like making their own food with their own recipe, and it developed into so many levels, and it included even other classrooms too, and it spread to the family. So the family was kind of had an aha moment of like, oh, I know why my child was so into this cooking show. So it went into almost like when I was leaving, it was still happening, right? There were still some children gathered, and they wanted me to write down their recipes and ingredients so for me to buy. So that was beautiful, and it was so much like a powerful, because I didn't have to do anything actually. I was just there to just listening, and I was the delivery person. Okay, I got yours. So I'm gonna make sure that everything is in there, right? So in the classroom, so that you guys can explore. And that classroom was available because I could have small groups, whoever wanted to make those like experiment of their cooking and recipes, and then the rest of the group, they could just stay outside because there was door available right there. We still leave the door open, then it's gonna be like a one big huge classroom. So I think that's maybe the like environment and the material, everything was like working and harmonically, right? And then we had all the probably the children always coming and nagging to me like, Jackie, did you get it? Did you get it? Is it my turn? This is my turn today, right? So they were talking about and remembering like where they were and when they will be, it's their turn to be a chef that day. So it was just a very powerful, I think, project to me. And I still still puzzles me to this day. And I have all that pictures and everything that I took from that long project in my hardware. So I look back and still kind of puzzle myself like, what was that, right? Like, did I capture everything? I mean, I did a lot of documentation for sure, and I had a lot of like even discussions about that with all the educators too. But then still, I feel like, oh, can I ever go back to that kind of a deep connection with the children and their learning? Could I ever go that close?
Right.
That's, I think, something that I'm very happy that it happened, and I'm hoping to have that kind of experience come to me again in the future.
Yeah, we were so fortunate at Peter Green Hall because they came through the center, and every classroom was reinforcing this idea that we want to hear your ideas. We want to ask you questions. We want to see where your thinking is. So by the time they got to us up in seniors and me in school age, the kids were primed for like, okay, my ideas are important. Write this down. You know what I mean? So you're saying that you didn't have to do any work, but the work was there. You were just you could be the fly on the wall at that point.
Yeah, the children was ready to share their voices, and they knew that it was powerful already, right? So I was ready to write down and almost like interviewing every child, right, about that process and project together. So I think, yes, we were all of like everybody involved was ready, I guess.
Yeah. So
wow.
We should thank those younger classroom teachers who put in all that work for us.
Yes.
Thank you so much. You know who you are. We're not going to name names.
Well, that's our questions with the educator.
Yeah, so we'll try next week with a different person connected in a different way to early childhood education. Thanks everybody, and we'll see you soon. Bye.
Thanks, Jackie.
Thanks, Jackie. Right. Oh my gosh, thank the guest. What's wrong with me?
Bye.
Bye.